Have you failed an exam and you're worried about what you're going to do next? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Dr. Bianca Busch. I'm an adult, child, and adolescent psychiatrist. I have taken many board exams, failed a few, and I also help people pass their board exams, particularly physicians and high-achieving students. There's something I don't think we talk about enough. I failed a board exam, actually a couple, that really mattered to me and my practice, and I don't think we talk about it enough. So I'm here today to talk about it and to tell you what I did when I prepared for my retakes and I passed. So let's start with what happens. Failing an exam really can activate something in you, right? We're not taking these exams simply for the sake of it being a test. We're taking this to prove that we are competent in whatever field that we're in, right? Whether that's medicine or other professional areas. So when you fail the exam, your identity can be at risk. You're thinking, am I good enough? Can I make it? Are people going to see me as qualified? So much happens in your mind. And with that, I talk about this in many of my other videos, your cortisol system, your fight or flight system is activated, right? Because you see this exam and not passing potentially as a threat, right? I talk about this, and a lot of the times our bodies don't know the difference between a test and a tiger. And that's just the way that we are built evolutionarily, right? Which can benefit us if it really is a tiger, but if it's a test, then it's not good. So this means that we've got cortisol activated, we've got the amygdala activated, we've got decreased function of the frontal lobe, our control center, right? All of this is happening after we pass the test. And then we're like, okay, I'm going to get right back into it. And so this is one thing that I found is a mistake that many people make. They fail and they're like, okay, I'm just going to get right back into it. I'm going to start studying again. I'm going to study more hours. I'm going to do more Q banks. I'm going to get an additional primary source because maybe the problem is that I just haven't really internalized all of the material or the content. And, I don't blame you for thinking that way. That's how we're trained to think, right? That, oh, this is just an issue of knowledge, right? Lack of knowledge. We don't know enough. And that's why we didn't pass the exam. In fact, you might have advisors, counselors, attendings, well-meaning friends who will say, yeah, that's totally the problem. You just need to study more. You need to study harder. That is a mistake. That is a mistake, okay? Because if you have failed an exam, and this may not be true for everyone, but it's true for a lot of people, it's almost like you have potentially a trauma response related to that failure. So again, your body is activated. You're heightened. And so then you're going to go right back in and try to conquer that material. And guess what? Some of it may stick, but a lot of it may not. Why? Because when you study in that state, it's not an optimal state for your brain to take in and retain information. Okay? So let me tell you what I did to prepare for retakes. And I'm very open about this, and I think this is one of the most powerful things is that I have failed a couple of exams. Not a lot of people talk about the failures, but I talk about it, right? And so what I have done in the past is a couple of things. I'm going to say three things. One, really organizing my time and structuring how I'm going to study, right? The instinct can be like I said, let's just pile on more material. Let's just get into it. But no, you have to pause. You have to analyze what happened last time, right? So for me, the first time that I took my adult boards, I had to be real with myself. I did not have enough time to study. I had a lot going on. I was chief. I was doing a lot of electives. I started my practice, and I was pregnant. So I had a lot going on. So for the second time, I said, okay, I need to make sure I have sufficient time to study, and I need to make sure I have the systems in place so that I can study uninterrupted. So number one is organizing your time. Making space, making time. And this comes way before even thinking about what material, what content you're going to cover. So I am going to talk more about these kinds of things, how to reset after panic, all that kind of stuff in an upcoming webinar training. It's free at the end of April. Join me. There's going to be a link below on how to sign up, and we're going to talk about these things. So number one I said is organization. Number two is really paying attention to how your body feels. Okay? How does your body feel? Not just on test day, but also as you are studying. And again, this is something that we don't pay attention to. We're going right to what materials are we going to use. But I want you to make sure your body is calm so that when you do sit down to study, your brain is ready to take in that information and to store it. So this means, doing some slow breathing before you even get started on a set of questions or reading through content. Maybe it means engaging in a visualization or doing some progressive muscle relaxation. All of these things I teach to people who I work with, either one-on-one or in the course that I have. But this is important. Don't miss it. Other things that you can do, this thing was really powerful for me the last time I took an exam, was to curate my environment, right? Something funny happens with the brain. When you make it so that you are doing something pleasurable along with a hard task, it makes your body feel good. It makes your mind want to go back to doing a challenging task like that. So for me, I'm always making sure I'm listening to music that makes me feel good, something that I can sing along to. And so that's what I did for my last child and adolescent psychiatry board. The third thing, and this is very, very important, is that I really try to separate my identity from the exam itself. Right? If I don't pass this exam, I'm really not a good doctor. But what I did was I really focused on, okay, how am I showing up in my clinical practice? Who am I taking care of? Okay, this person I'm taking care of well. This case is challenging, so I'm getting support from a colleague to see what I can do better. But none of that really, really shows up on the exam, right? So I had to anchor to the work that I was actually doing that was an actual demonstration of being a good physician. So anchoring in that identity is so, so important, right? It will preserve you when you don't do well on a question block or you encounter a challenging concept. So I encourage you to do that. Anchor in your identity. Think about the times that you've provided excellent care that are not on the exam, right? So I've talked about what it's like to fail an exam, what happens to your body, right? Total activation of the sympathetic system. I've talked about the number one mistake, and that's to just rush right back in to doing more questions, more content, more time, right? That sort of push through, that sort of hustle hard, right? We got to hustle, but we got to hustle smart. And then I talked about the three things that I did to recover: organization, making sure my body was calm, making sure my mind was calm, and really protecting or establishing my identity outside of the exam. So I'm going to go through all of this and more. Beating test stress, beating test panic, what to do if you have ADHD in an upcoming webinar, April 30th. So join me at the end of this month for a free webinar where I'm going to go through how to calm your body, what to do if you have ADHD, how to get over failure. It's free. It is virtual. Join me at a time that most people can make. And if you can't, still sign up. I'll send you the replay. Link is going to be below. I'm here to support you. Dr. Bianca Busch, board certified psychiatrist. I'm here for you, and I will see you in the next video.